Okay, welcome everybody back to my Space Engineers Beginner's Guide, episode 10. Now, if you recall, last episode we started building a little scout vessel. This ship is just basically going to be able to let us explore the surrounding area and find ore deposits. Now, I know we have a ore wall over here, which has got all the ore that we're liable to need from now until probably forever. But this is basically just to show the principles about building a ship, how they go together, what is required to actually make a ship work. And as you recall, last time we got up to where we put in a cockpit, we put in some conveyor junctions, some small conveyors, we put in a gyroscope, so we've got maneuverability for rotational maneuvering, and we've put in a power plant. And if we have a look, yes, we've put some uranium in our power plant there, so it's fully powered. Now the next thing that we need to add is a, if I recall correctly, let me just jump over here, yes, is a cargo container. So let's have a look. Cargo container. Now I'm missing, what am I missing? I'm missing interior components. That is the primary component required to build this, and I have none. So let's go and get some interior components. We might even grab the other basics while we're there. So construction components, computers, motors and displays. I'll just get rid of you. Thank you. And we'll get rid of you. No, get rid of you. Get rid of you. That's what we wanted. Okay, so we need some interior plates. Construction components. Oh, we don't have many. Okay, let's just make some more of them, shall we? Some more of them, more of them, more of them. These are all the things that require just iron. Yeah, so we'll go with that for starters. So, okay, that's better. And computers. I can't remember what we needed, but we'll go with that. Okay. Now if you notice, if we have a look on the side here, we can see that our small conveyor port is on the side. That puts it in line with our reactor. So we will leave it oriented like that. That way we can actually convey them up. Okay, motors was the thing we're missing, and some more interior plates. Some motors and some more interior plates. There we go. And we'll just get some more motors up and running as well. One short motor. Well, I think you should have built one motor at least by now, yes. That's better. Now we'll add a conveyor connector. We don't have that in our list here, do we? No, okay, we've got to add that. A connector which will let us dock and offload goods, and we will actually build a connector onto one of our items over here so that we can dump any found resources into our refinery. Oh look, we're missing steel plate. As you may have noticed, most components either require steel plate or interior plate in order to be able to build them. In this case our connector requires steel plate, which we didn't have any. Small tubes and more steel plate. So some small tubes and more steel plate. There we go. Now we need to connect this all up with our conveyors. Now as you recall, we added these conveyor junctions they call it a small conveyor. It's the same as the larger conveyor junction, so I call it a conveyor junction. We added this onto our cockpit so that we can actually conveyor up our cockpit into everything else as well. Now that gives us some advantages. What it means is, if we jump into our cockpit here and pull up our inventory, it means that we can actually transfer things from our personal inventory into our cockpit, or more importantly, we can change over to a large cargo container and we'll be able to dump them straight into the container. That way, if we're carrying goods, we can actually offload them into the ship's cargo container, or from within our cockpit here. So we will actually convey that up as well. So we'll just set a 5, and we want an angle, yes, and an angle here as well, yes, and actually a junction there. And a straight. There we go, straight there, and straight there. Now this has some disadvantages. In fact, I'm actually only going to conveyor up one side of it at this point in time. Reason for that is, once we put a conveyor junction over top of our reactor port, for example, we can't actually access the reactor unless we've got power. And if the reactor runs out of uranium, we can jump in our cockpit all we like. We can try and transfer it into the reactor as much as we want, but since there's no power for the actual conveyor itself to work, we can't do that. So I'm just going to junction up one side. What we'll do is we'll just use, that's what we want, we'll just use some small blocks and we'll put in an appropriate there we go, just so that we've got some symmetry in detail on either side. That way when it comes to adding our thrusters, we've got something to work against, the same as what we've got on this side here. Oh, we're missing motors, okay. And we're missing motors there too, so let's just do that. I mean, you can see the symmetry. If we look at either side, we've now got, basically we've got a symmetry there that we can work with. There we go. When it comes to adding our thrusters, now we will extend on this side as well, just to there and there, and one onto the cockpit, I think. So we need to fix you up. Yeah, oh, okay, full off then. No. So it's all centraled off that. I think this is going to do the same, isn't it? Oh no, cool. So it has bound properly. We'll do that. Is that what we want? No, we took it one extra as well, so we'll go one extra on it as well. Alright, now that gives us a similarity on both sides. At least for our thrusters. But it also means that it's all conveyed up. And we can test that by jumping into our cockpit here. Going into our inventory. And let's see if we can transfer our steel plate into... Oh! Steel plate, no. Motors, yes. No. 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 Computers, okay, so it's definitely size dependent. Some things we can, some things we can't. Although I would have thought that oxygen tanks and so on would have been small enough too. Oh well. It's no, never mind. It was just a convenience, not a necessity. Although I'm really finding that ugly, so let's just get rid of that. They are actually quite ugly to look at, so let's just change them. And yes, a large portion of what we do is aesthetics, is look. If it doesn't look good, then you probably won't be happy building it. So if you can make it look good, then yeah, it makes it much more fun to build. There we go. Okay. I guess we need to start adding some thrusters now. Yep, there they are, 7. Now we want big beasties, there we go. And we're going to add one there. One there. There and one there. Okay, now that's our lifters. That's our lifters. Now, let's just go all out and let's put forward there. Down. No, that's not what I wanted. Nothing worse than putting the wrong block in. Okay, what we want is a full block. Thank you, thank you. And let's see. Works, so I suppose I could put it up one. So if we do this, that will let us put it in, but it's actually now elevated one. So, just means we can slow down quick. Thank you. Okay, that looks a little odd, but honestly, I don't like that, so I'm going to remove it. Like I said, if you're not happy with the way it looks, then that's not the way you should be building it, so I'm going to remove that. Because I'm not happy with the way it looks. What we're going to do instead is use multitudes of little thrusters. 7 small. There we go. Now, okay, we can put one either side there. In fact, we can put one on the underside as well. So that's 4 reverse thrusters. 4 reverse thrusters that we can put there. So I think that should be sufficient. 4 for one. And 1 for all? No, bad pun. Now we've got up, down, well gravity will take care of that for us. We need left and right. Now I'm going to spread them across the whole rig actually. So 7. We'll put 2 here for the left. Oh, so for going right. And 2 here for the going right. Oh, come on, there we go. So that gives us left and right, forward and reverse, up, and gravity will do the job when it comes to the down. It's got a basic cargo container, nice big reactor. Alright. Now, since we've put our reverse thrusters here on the side, we can't actually put our ore detector and antenna and so off on the side, so we're going to have to put it on the front here. So, let's just grab our antenna. Actually stick the antenna right in the centre, and our ore detector let's just stick this off to one side here. There we go. Now, whilst not 100% necessary most of the time, it isn't very useful to have. We'll stick a spotlight in here as well, and that way if we're scouting out at night time we can see what the heck we're looking at. Right, so that's got the fundamentals, so I think we need to now weld you up. Start with the glary light. Okay, actually let's turn that light off. There we go. Yes, I know. Alright, I think we're out of construction components now. I just grabbed construction. What the hell did I grab if it wasn't construction components? I'm certain it was construction components. Where the hell did they go? Oh no, they went there. Just 11 of them only. There wasn't many. We'll top up all that we can whilst we're here. There we go. Steel plate. Right, this is what we're going to need the most of. Tubes and metal grids, I think it was, as well as. Let's just grab those. still. We'll take all of them. It's not useful, but we'll transport them over here. Okay, we want some of them. Come on, hurry up with our metal grids. Thank you. Nowhere near enough notice. Okay, out of metal grids there too. Well, I know this is just a beginner's guide, and it seems a bit tedious what I'm doing here, but the ability to construct a ship is actually pretty important as a fundamental, I believe, when it comes to space engineers. You'll do a lot of things. There we go. With ships. So building a ship is actually pretty important. So it might seem tedious and slow and really not worth watching, but if you've never played the game before, or if you're just wanting some tips on what to put together, then this is for you. Let's just some of them, some of them, some of them, some of them. Can't remember what we need over here. So yeah, if you've played the game before, then you're quite familiar with how things operate, and you know the importance of being able to build a ship, or the fundamentals behind building a ship. And as we are doing this in a survival environment, which is for the most part how most people will play the game, I find survival is probably the most fun. Creative I use just to test ideas, but survival is where I actually play most of my gameplay, because I find that just the challenge of it, the challenge of starting with next to nothing and building your way up, I find that much more enjoyable than being able to do anything you like, which in itself is good. But like I said, I personally use that just to test ideas. I might then take those ideas or what I learnt from that and implement them within a survival environment and try and build up from there, which I find quite fun in itself as well. Detector. Okay, so we need to get rid of all of this. And we need some of that. There we go. Ore detector, antenna, light. Now we just need to finish off our motors, our thrusters. Which is not enough, but it will start. Now in some environments you'll need to actually build gunships. Basically it's the same concept. It's basically the same sort of ship, but instead of putting like an ore detector and things like that on it, you'll put Gatling cannons or missile launchers, so that you can take on enemies. So basic structure is pretty much the same, but you might have a conveyor junction here, and then you might have 2 or 3 or 4 Gatling currents attached to it, so that you can actually throw a whole stack of Gatling ammo in your cargo container here, a whole stack of Gatling guns on the front, and you can go off and take on your enemy. That can be, believe it or not, quite a lot of fun, quite challenging. Okay. Same with the missiles. Now, most of the missiles for a small period are non-reloading. So once you run out of the missiles in the actual missile launcher, you actually have to land your ship or jump out of the ship with your jetpack on or whatever, and transfer missiles into them. But hey, that's neither here nor there. They take a few, but you can lose quite a few very, very rapidly when it comes to combat. You can use missiles. I tend to try and avoid actually using missiles as much as I can, only because it doesn't leave much behind to salvage. It tends to eliminate your enemy pretty thoroughly, and as a result of which there's not much materials left to salvage afterwards. And I'm all about salvage. If you can salvage it as opposed to have to mine it and build it, then so much the better. Now, that's our basic ship, I believe. We've got all our thrusters, we've got our gyroscope, we've got a cargo container, we've got a connector, we've got an ore detector, and we've got an antenna, and we've got a light. So, let's see. Let's just set up our toolbar here. We want to be able to disengage our landing gear. We want to also be able to engage our connector if need be. As for the other things, the other thing I normally like to do is grab all of our thrusters, all of them, large and small, and group them all under a single category called thrusters. I put them in square brackets just so that I can differentiate them from anything else I might like to call thrusters. Like if I attach this to another ship or have it docked onto another ship, that's also got thrusters. Now I also like to remove the actual thrusters themselves out of our list here, out of the terminal list, so we can actually see a nice clean list. So we've got thrusters, and that group can now be added into our toolbar. There it is there, down here, and that way we can turn them on and off. So let's go, press V, go into third person mode, press our Alt key down and scroll our wheel mouse out so we can zoom around, out and around. Now we can see our thrusters are running just by the glare in the top one up there, about where the 0 meters is, 0M. If we hit 9, that goes away. Hit 9 again, turn it back on, so we can turn our thrusters on and off. Excellent. So V again to go back into first person, and now we're going to actually see how this ship flies. So we press 1 to disengage our landing gear, there we go, and press the space bar to go up, and we seem to be going up pretty, whoa, very quickly in fact. That's nice. Let's go into third person. Okay, that actually was very, very fast. 478 meters in next to nothing. C to go down. Now we're just using gravity, so in essence we've just turned the engines off. Now you'll notice that there is a glitch there with the engines. All the rotating parts inside the engines are actually lagging behind the ship. That seems to be, from what I've noticed, an intermittent bug. Sometimes when I load a save game they are fine, other times like now after just freshly building it, then they tend to lag behind. Like if we thrust up, they'll vanish down into the engine. and come out the bottom. There we go, look at that. Wow, we accelerated very, very rapidly. 2 kilometers. Wow, we went 2.3 kilometers up. That was really rapid. Yes, we do have a speed mod involved. It allows us to do double the basic speed, so we can go up to 200 meters per second. Now, if I was to actually save this game and reload it, we'd probably find that those thruster rotors wouldn't lag behind us like that. It just seems to be when freshly built. I have noticed that if I load the game up, do a standard load to come into the game with atmospheric thrusters, I don't seem to see the same problem. So it seems to be just when they're built and before the game is reloaded from a save. I think the Havoc physics engine just doesn't have them synced properly. I'm just off the top of my head guess. I don't know exactly how the physics engine within Space Engineers works, but it seems to be when you actually build something up like this, it just doesn't seem to sync the items together properly, the relevant components of the items together, and you have this desync, this lagging behind. Okay, we actually moved. Look at that. Yes, if we were to actually save the game and reload the game, we'd probably find that the core of the engines would stay the same. Anyway, it looks like we've got a pretty good sort of scout ship now. It's quite manoeuvrable. Let's just go and test it out and find some goods over this way. I'm sure there must be something over here somewhere. Yes, I think there is down here. Looks like this is a nice deposit of iron and cobalt and nickel from the looks of this. So yes, our little scout ship seems to be working quite fine. It is, wow, it is very responsive. Very cool. Okay, so that's got our basic scout ship built, and with that we'll actually stop this episode at this point, and we'll use that probably in further episodes to actually scout around and find some additional resources. Not that we actually need the additional resources, as I said, our wall of ore here will suffice for quite some time, but that was just to demonstrate the principles about building a ship. Now, we will probably build another ship next episode. Yeah, I think next episode would be a good idea to do that. Now, the ship that we'll build will be very similar to this, but it will be dedicated at mining. It'll be a drilling ship, and we'll then be able to use that further down the track to actually mine these products here, these ore and resources. Well, that said, we will need to also add a connector into our basic refinery here, and we may even expand the refinery so that we've got some quicker processing there. We'll expand it and add a connector so that we can dock our ships into it and offload our gains, our product, our ore, straight into our refinery so we can refine it, process it, make it available to our assemblers, because we'll add more of those, and our assemblers will be able to produce all the goods that we need down the track. So for now, that's where we stand. We will pick this up in the next episode. Thank you for joining me, and happy engineering.